The other day I was so anxious I introduced myself to my mirror. Twice. An utterly peculiar act given the circumstances, wouldn't you all agree? I chuckle lightly, giving the audience a chance to join in on my humor. But you see, folks, this was no ordinary greeting. I wasn't just throwing a casual "hey there, handsome" at my reflection. Absolutely not. It was a much more elaborate and formal interaction. I take a moment to let the imagery sink in, watching as the audience becomes visibly more intrigued by my story. Picture this. I'm standing in front of my own reflection, my hand extended in a friendly manner, uttering a "nice to meet you." A little odd, perhaps, but let's face the harsh reality. Who here hasn't ever engaged in a one-sided conversation with their reflection? The laughter grows in the room, indicating a shared sentiment. But my friends, this wasn't merely a spontaneous moment of mirror madness, far from it. It was actually a part of my inventive method to tackle that adrenaline-pumping, palm-drenching, mind-paralyzing sensation we endearingly refer to as social anxiety. I pause again, allowing my words to resonate. And let's be honest with each other, we've all had a taste of that, right? That moment where your nerves are so frayed you'd prefer facing a ravenous beast over a room full of people. Now allow me to transport you back to my initial foray into public speaking. Envision this. A crowded room, every pair of eyes fixated on me. Stepping up to the stage, feeling my heart vibrating like a seismic wave, like a raging drum solo in the middle of a rock concert. I feel the atmosphere in the room intensify as I continue. I gather my courage to introduce myself, but what comes out is, "Hi, I'm nervous." I let out a self-deprecating laugh. That's right, not "Hi, I'm Kevin," but "Hi, I'm nervous." Amidst the panic, I had somehow morphed into a person personified as nervous. I remember the laughter in that room, my cheeks heating up at the memory. It wasn't just a round of laughter, my friends. It was like an eruption, a volcanic outburst of giggles and guffaws that seemed to echo for days. However, you know what? It wasn't the apocalypse. In fact, it was the dawn of a beautiful realization. It was the moment I understood that it's okay to be nervous, it's fine to feel anxious, and it's absolutely acceptable to introduce yourself as nervous in front of a room full of people. Because when the sun sets, we are all humans. We all get nervous. And sometimes we all need a hearty, soul-cleansing laugh. And that, my friends, was how I first announced my anxiety to the world, or rather my bathroom mirror. So the first rule of small talk is, don't squawk like a chicken. I learned that the hard way. Small talk, or as I to joke, small squawk, is an elegant art, a starting point for deeper dialogue, and a crucial tool for better understanding the person you're conversing with. However, just like art, it can be quite nebulous and at times lead to some truly amusing situations. Imagine this scenario. I'm at a social gathering rubbing shoulders with a colorful mix of people when a chap sporting a shirt festooned with chicken prints catches my eye. Believing this to be my chance to connect, I decide to talk about chickens. Yes, you heard that right, chickens. I delved into a humorous monologue about the diverse species, their dietary patterns, and even threw in some poultry-themed puns for good measure, in the hopes of injecting a bit of levity into the conversation. The response, as you might guess, was a resounding silence. You might be shaking your head thinking, isn't that a bit excessive for simple small talk? And you'd be right. However, my reasoning at that moment was influenced by the gentleman's choice of attire, a chicken-themed shirt. The point I'm trying to make here is that small talk isn't a platform to showcase the depths of your knowledge or chatter aimlessly about a particular subject. It's about establishing commonality, exchanging simple, relatable experiences, and not taking oneself too seriously. So, you might be wondering, how does one get better at this? Begin with the most commonplace topic, the weather. It's a universally shared experience and a safe conversation starter. Share your thoughts on how the weather influences your mood or your preferred season. Additionally, keep in mind that small talk isn't one-sided. It's an interaction. You're not solely conversing, you're also lending an ear, expressing curiosity, and reacting to the other person's thoughts. Consider it like a dance where each move corresponds to the others. Lastly, ensure your conversations remain light. Small talk is akin to the starter of a meal. It's meant to pique one's interest for deeper discussions. Keep your topics effortless and enjoyable. So remember, when it comes to small talk, stick to discussions about the weather, not foul. Ever dropped a cupcake on someone's lap at a party? No? Just me then? To this day, the notorious event is known as the Great Cupcake Incident. It's a tale that has been shared countless times with both friends and strangers alike. And yet it's not a story of embarrassment or shame. Rather, it's a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, a clear demonstration of our astounding capacity to recover from even the most cringe-worthy social gaffes. Permit me to set the scene for you. I found myself in the midst of a bustling house party. The atmosphere was electric, the room was filled with chatter and laughter, but I felt like a fish out of water. My anxiety was inching towards its peak, and in my hand I held onto a cupcake as if it was my only anchor in the sea of interaction. As it is often said, fate has a peculiar sense of humor. I found myself colliding with another partygoer. It wasn't a random guest, but the host of the party, the person whose opinion mattered the most. The cupcake I was clasping? It was launched straight into their lap. The frosting, in a twist of irony, naturally landed face down. The universe, it seemed, had a particularly twisted sense of humor that day. In that instant, it felt as if time had paused. The cupcake lay there, nestled in the host's lap. I could feel the weight of every gaze in the room, each pair of eyes focused on me. My mind was a whirlwind of emotion, and my face was rapidly turning a shade of red that would have put the ripest tomato to shame. Now this is the part of the story where the tide turned. Rather than surrendering to the overwhelming panic, I took control of the situation. I drew in a deep breath, mustered my courage, and owned my mistake. I apologized sincerely, but then I added, "I guess this is one way to make sure you remember me." To my surprise, laughter followed. The tension that had filled the room disappeared, and quite unexpectedly, I had become the center of attention, the life of the party. That's the thing about uncomfortable situations. They're only as uncomfortable as you allow them to be. So, when you find yourself in a tricky situation, remember to take a deep breath, own your faults, and if possible, find a way to inject some humor into the situation. Because when it comes down to it, we are all human. We all stumble, we all have our own version of a cupcake incident. So, if you ever drop a cupcake on someone's lap, remember, it's just a sweet way to break the ice. Remember that time when I became a meme? No? Well, let me explain. It was an ordinary day, or so it seemed. It was the day I became a digital phenomenon, my canvas being the internet and not a piece of canvas. You might wonder, how does one turn into an internet meme? It's as simple as stumbling over your own feet. Seriously. One moment I was attempting to conquer the dance floor at a social gathering. The next I was lying flat on the floor, limbs flailing in all directions, resembling an overturned turtle more than a graceful dancer. It wasn't quite a moment to be proud of. However, there was a twist. Someone managed to capture this inelegant moment on their camera. Yes, my clumsiness was captured, immortalized, and shared across the World Wide Web for everyone to form an opinion. It spread rapidly like a forest fire, and before I could even comprehend what was happening, my dance move, or rather the absence of it, was a trending topic. It was indeed embarrassing, but it was also hilariously authentic and human. So how did I react? Did I decide to retreat to the safety of my room, vowing never to step out again? Absolutely not. Instead, I decided to embrace it. I laughed at it. I even went ahead and recreated the dance move at subsequent parties. Why, you ask? It was because it evoked laughter. It made people see a glimpse of their own imperfections in me. It demonstrated to them that I, too, was a normal human being prone to making a spectacle of myself. And guess what? It worked wonders. People's perception of me changed. They saw me not as the guy who tripped over his own feet, but as the guy who had the courage to laugh at himself. I became more approachable, more relatable. All this transformation because of one clumsy dance move. The point I'm trying to convey is, don't shy away from awkwardness or fear it. Embrace it. It's what makes us human. It's what bonds us. What makes us, well, us. So, if you ever end up becoming a meme, just remember, it's better to be a dancing star in the digital world than a wallflower in the real one. So, what did we learn today, apart from the fact that I'm probably the clumsiest person you've ever met? Well, let's take a moment to recall our journey. From our lively beginnings as a social caterpillar, we've transformed into a social butterfly, or more like a moth that can't avoid crashing into things. But hey, progress is progress. In our second chapter, we uncovered the finesse of talk. Okay, it may resemble squawking like a parrot in a pet shop, but every squawk, every word, is a stride towards transforming that awkward silence into a symphony of conversation. And who could forget the cupcake incident? a saga of disaster and victory where our protagonist, a blameless Cupcake, met an early end. Yet it enlightened us with a priceless knowledge. The sweetest achievements often arise from the messiest situations. I'm still finding sprinkles in places I don't wish to discuss. And then there was the day I turned into an internet sensation. You might think it's embarrassing, but here's the twist. It's actually a symbol of achievement. Becoming a meme means you've reached a new level of social interaction, where your clumsiness is not just accepted, it's applauded. So wear that badge with pride. Throughout this journey, we've laughed, we've cringed, and we've certainly picked up a few lessons about surviving the tumultuous waters of social dynamics. It's okay to be awkward, it's okay to stumble, and it's even okay to drop a cupcake every now and then. Because at the end of the day, it's these quirks, these idiosyncrasies, that make us human, make us memorable, and ultimately make us warriors in the realm of social interaction. And remember, folks, in the battlefield of social situations, your armor is your humor and your weapon, a cupcake. All right, folks, before we move on to our next chapter, let's take a pause. 6 seconds of silence. You might wonder, why silence in the middle of a YouTube video? Well, this silence is our silent symphony, a time for reflection. Ready? 3, 2, 1. There we go. Sometimes, amidst whirlwind of social interactions, we overlook the need for a breather, for contemplation. It's in these silent moments that we truly understand our journey, our growth, and yes, our peculiarities. These awkward instances shape us, making us social warriors. Let's revel in them, let's embrace them, and let's resume our journey with newfound confidence. Because silence is not merely the absence of noise, it's the presence of reflection. And with that, let's march on, warriors.